Welcome to Linux Saloon, a place to discuss tech, open source, and where Linux is always on tap. Each show will have a talk about all kinds of fun things like Linux projects, distributions, desktop environments, applications. We also chat about any news or any variety of topics from the community. Anything that's Linux, tech, and open source related is on the table for discussion. I'm Nate. With me today, I've got a fantastic bundle of people, like a bundle of sticks. It's you guys. Jinda, Prophetic, Adam, Colin, Ben, Jason, Sravan, and Dale with his not so low tech Linux. So how's everybody?
Excellent.
Doing good.
Having a
Cats,
kick butt
cats
night.
and beer. I'm doing good.
Fantastic. So Jason is actually participating in the saloon type activities. Oh, Eric is walking through the door late
I
as
got him.
always, which is nice. That wasn't a
Here
dig.
he is.
I'm glad he's here. Better late
Is
than
that
never.
tea in Saloon? I'm drinking tea.
Oh, what? Oh, tea? Tea is absolutely fine.
Yeah, green tea.
You know, if you've ever watched Back to the Future and you see George McFly go to the in the cafe, say, "Lou, give me a milk." He slams his hand on the counter.
No,
Chocolate.
this is green tea without any milk. Just water and a tea bag.
Well, see, that's good too. You can also do like Earl Grey. That's my favorite tea. Earl Grey hot.
Earl Grey, hot.
So
But not at night. I want to sleep. This is
Sleep.
green
What
tea.
is sleep?
maybe we should do a straw poll. What do you drink at night?
Cat tail. I drink
Maybe we should.
beer.
I don't know.
Apparently, green tea is good for sleep. That's why I'm drinking
Green tea is good for sleep. I thought green tea was good for like, chewing bubble gum and kicking butt. Stuff. So
All that
No.
bubble gum, right?
that's right.
No, that's not green tea.
I'm
That's
fresh out of
something else.
gum.
I'm here to drink green tea and kick some tech rear end, and I'm all out of green tea. Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
We'll go with that.
We'll go with that. Yeah, anything you like there. So be sure to do that straw poll. If you have not done so, it kind of talks about your RAM usage. So if you want to check that out, the straw poll, that'd be great. How has your usage of RAM changed in the last 5 years?
You mean the browser's usage of RAM?
How does your RAM usage now compare to 5 years ago?
Cat, relax.
So is it a lot higher, somewhat higher, about the same, somewhat less usage now, a lot less now? Don't know. So just be sure to vote, because that would be groovy. Also, we are 6 subscribers away from hitting that magical 1,000 mark. Only got 4 this last week. That's how it goes. But if you have not subscribed, do me a solid. That'd be pretty awesome. I would appreciate that. So on the docket for today, we do have an open mic night. We'll do our housekeeping and last call. But before that, well, also Strawpoll. But before that, what have you been doing in Linux and tech? I was just really kind of excited about something. I really want to share it with the class tonight. So my oldest is in the first robotics competition. I don't know if you've heard of that, but essentially it's a student age. He's a high school age-ish kids, if you want to call them kids. By some traditions, they're actually adults already, but whatever. But students that work on these robots to do a specific task. And this is pretty cool. I've not been able to be as involved as I would like, but I did get a button while I was there, so I'm wearing the button. He's in RV Gearhead, so you can look up his number, 7814, first robotics competition. They're all unique around the world. But anyway, so an old Army buddy of mine, he is on the team. He's one of the mentors, and he helps with the robotics. He's a controls engineer. And then so my son has been learning Java, and he's been helping with that. Apparently, they need more refinement in their code. I'll just leave it like that. But it was really fun to watch. They have these different aspects of the competition. You have to try and you score by placing. In this case, it's called Coral, and then you get rid of the LG, and you kind of have to process it. And then, unfortunately, they broke the robot there on day one, like one of the first competitions. Like this cage thing that swung, they basically took out half the robot, so they kind of had to zip tie the thing back together. Kind of amusing, and I really like the whole idea. So because they couldn't actually do the work, basically in all the competitions, they just played defense the entire time. So just annoying the other alliance, And I thought it was really funny how they would do that, kind of knock him around, prevent him. Anyway, so it was really fun. It's really neat to see, my son get excited about doing something, in this case, robotics, programming, not so much in the building or the CAD side of it, but it's been really exciting to see that kind of spark, that excitement for technology. Things and opportunities I didn't have when I was his age is now basically easily accessible. And I think it's super cool. So
That's awesome.
I guess, my son will be part of the building of the robot overlords that end up taking over everything. So I guess that's exciting. Anyway, so I just want to share that. What's that?
I hope that your son will be able to get a chance to go check out the Harvard robotics lab. It was I went there. My roommate when I lived in Boston worked in the robotics lab at Harvard University. When I talk about some James Bond stuff, when we're talking, we had to go through special doors with security and all this kind of stuff to get into this robotics lab, and it was phenomenal to see the things that they were able to do back in the 90s, early 2000s. It was great. What are you doing, Keaty?
Well, that is very cool. So congratulations on that. Yeah.
Awesome stuff.
Yeah, it was a fun couple days, like whole days.
Is it like
Reggie?
battle robot stuff, or is it?
No, it's more
something
productive
else?
things. It's like they got to pick up pieces and put them in specific locations. So it's not just
Good.
no, but that you can play defense and you can obstruct the other team from accomplishing the task. So
Yeah,
and then
I know it's
That's awesome.
very American and all, but that whole like robot wars thing, I was a little disappointed that like this is how we're going to express our interest in robotics, is like how best to destroy something.
yeah, I'm not really a fan of that either, because like when I watch like the battle bots, and I know it's kind of cool, but now maybe it's just because I'm older now, and I think about like all the work it took to do a thing. I think about like, oh, you're doing this to destroy all the hard work you did, and to me that just kind of makes me like it. I don't know, it upsets me a little bit. Like, I don't want to destroy my creation. I like my creation, It's like
So sorry,
go ahead.
Go ahead. I was just gonna say, so sorry, they had to show how to like pick up things and like
Yes.
what kind of stuff did they do?
So specifically, like they're like it's like I don't know, maybe like 4-inch or 5-inch PVC pipe was act as the coral, and they had to put the coral on the reef. Was kind of the idea, and then they had to remove the algae off of it and put these like either in processing, or they could kick it up into the barge. And it's all actually out there to be watched if you want to see what happened today. Really neat to see. It's really fun to watch the excitement of the kids in doing this. It was an all-day event. Like, we got there at 8 a.m. and I just got home at like just a little bit before 7 p.m. And then yesterday was 8 to 8. So it was long days, but it was absolutely worth it. I really, seeing that spark of excitement, enthusiasm, doing stuff with technology, that's really cool. And I think even my youngest was taking quite a bit some interest in it as well. He's 9. No, just turned 10. I can't believe I said that. Shame on me. Just turned 10 in February, actually. And so he thought it was pretty cool too. So I'm hoping maybe he might get the interest in that as well. So Jen, you said you helped out with something also with some.
Yeah, I helped the Warlocks. That's the local team around here for another town nearby.
That's neat.
Yeah, I went to the competition. It was in Rochester, New York.
Yep.
My buddy Dave, his best friend, his kids were all in it. They were in the Warlocks group. I think it's like 1507.
Okay.
Yeah, once in a while I try to go. They like having engineering nerds there.
Yeah.
It's a blast. They have all kinds of. The robots are pretty big. They're like 3 feet by 3 feet by 3 feet cubes. About. They were taking like volleyballs and shooting them.
Oh, that's cool.
Into a scoreboard, at a target, and it's kind of like you said. It's kind of like defense and offense and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Everything's programmed and radio controlled and all this fancy stuff. It's fun to go to. I think you can watch it now online, right?
Yeah, it's you can watch online.
Clips online too.
So Nate, with them having a specific task like that, is the outcome that if the winning team that's able to demonstrate that their approach to, managing the reef, they can then like take that and it's actually going to be used somewhere? Because that would be amazing.
Um,
Right?
I don't know that it's like that as much, because this is more like a problem solving exercise.
Okay,
So
okay.
it's just a fun theme to build it around. It's just
Yeah,
like an
yeah,
underwater
okay.
theme. It's more like that.
It's
So
also good
it's
to remember that, like, when it comes to
Gotcha.
these destructive
That is
games,
cool.
the yin and the yang, it's like we create these things, and it's a life lesson when they get destroyed, and it's kind of like the whole balance of life, circle of life, when it comes to these kids learning this stuff. It's part of the process.
what I also thought was kind of fun or neat to see is, so some of these teams are sponsored by different companies and whatnot. So the team that I'm part of is a smaller team. Like the school that sort of sponsors they actually fall in like the poverty category of districts. So if that means anything, and so that's actually kind of sort of my attraction to the group anyway, because they're a less advantaged financially group. So don't worry, next year I'll be able to help out with that. But anyway, make it a little bit better. So the neat thing also though is like some of the more and Kalamazoo is a city nearby. Actually, I remember Chris, he was making fun of the name Kalamazoo, or making fun of me, not making fun really, but he was poking at Michigan like he always does in the Telegram. And yeah, Kalamazoo is a real place. Well, there's Stryker is a medical manufacturing device company. They make like beds and gadgets, and I don't know what they make, but they sponsor a team, and a lot of Stryker engineers are mentors on this team, and you can tell because instead of using like aluminum or whatever, like extrusions, like theirs was all carbon fiber, and it was, and they had actually they showed how things were put together and how they were able to because carbon fiber is expensive, how to like reutilize some parts of it instead of epoxying it together, which would be what they would normally do. They actually developed an interface that they 3D print out of carbon fiber filled PETG plastic, like 3D printed, and so then they use hot glue and like these they have like grooves in there, like rings, annular rings, so that when they heat up and then put it together, so that if they need to change something or something breaks, they can just heat it back up, pull it back out, and then anyway. So it was just kind of interesting, and yeah, prophetic. Actually, you should say that is a downside sometimes. Too much adult mentoring or intervention, it's a hard balance. So it's kind of it is a balance to strike. It's like you want them to work through the problem, but you also don't want them to fail either. So you got to get them over the line to be a success, even if it's have some levels of success. So like even though the Gearheads, even though their robot broke. They actually ranked at 24 out of, I don't know, it was like 40 some odd bots. So even though they had they did have a massive failure due to, I don't know actually exactly how it broke. They hit some sort of cage thing and just like wiped out half the robot. But then they rapidly put it back together and made it so they could function still. So pretty cool the work that they put into that. And yeah, but it is a balance for sure. And I don't know. I mean, if the kids are learning something and they're doing most of it, I think that's fine. But sometimes you kind of go,
I think it's also like think under pressure too. That's such a
Mhm.
thing that like this upcoming generation has a hard time with, is like thinking under pressure, on the spot, adapting. Once they get like some type of like bump in the road and some plan, they tend to shut down. Not to like, I don't want to overgeneralize with this upcoming generation, but that is a pattern, and it's cool to see them fight through it, and that's cool that you got to see that firsthand.
well, us Gen X kids who might be here, probably not as many anymore. Latchkey kids where both parents are working, come home, didn't have largely unsupervised. Had to kind of figure things out whether we wanted to or not. So anyway, yeah, it's good times. But anyway, so I don't know if you are interested in technology, robotics, whatnot. This is another way. I mean, there's a lot of Linux being utilized. Apparently, the driver computers they don't support Linux for that. I'm going to investigate that though. They're talking to me about how we can the actual question was, can you adapt your screen setup that you're using for the for like the control interface for these robots so that we can integrate, have more people playing? I'm like, I think so. So anyway, we'll see how that goes. But I may have to upgrade my my monitors so that I can donate something to the cause.
I see
You
why
gotta
he's
upgrade
doing
your
this.
monitors.
I
Like,
see why he's doing this. He's using this just for an excuse to get more monitors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any more
Yeah,
upgrades,
exactly.
the monitors are gonna become like self-aware and sentient. Like,
Yep.
Well, it'd be cool though. Is
Skynet.
if I can actually have it so when they set the control system, whatever it's called, out, that it goes, folds out automatically. That would be cool. Especially making that noise. The Transformers, or just using pneumatics.
Somebody's a
Cool.
nerd. I'm just saying right now.
We're on a podcast, whatever you want to call it, called Linux Saloon. That makes us all nerds in the
Well, I
best
think
possible way.
I think I am currently the only one that's actually on the saloon part.
No, good point. All right, so I got to bring this up. So Sean says, coming home from school to a few hours with the VIC-20 before my parents got home. That sounds like a glorious time.
Swift. Admit.
All right, so I guess let's move on to the straw poll. If you haven't yet done the straw poll, go ahead and check out the straw poll. I'll give you just a few more moments to knock that out if you have not done so already. It's how does your RAM usage compare to 5 years ago? So I'll read a couple of the comments. The first one is, I think mine has gone down because of Linux. How much I personally consume probably hasn't changed since college much. I wish there was a time frame on when college was for that. Maybe it was 5 years ago. I don't know. Another comment. Honestly, I don't think my RAM usage has changed meaningfully since I started using GNU plus Linux full time for 10 years, since 10 years ago. And then another. My overall consumption hasn't really changed, but I'm doing more within the same footprint. So it's gone down in the sense that each thing I open with, that footprint uses less RAM to get the same effect and more stuff done. I don't think I had any replies on the Mastodon. Let me double check here. Maybe I did. But I did get a reply on Twix, yeah. From Tad McDermott said I should check out linuxatemyram.com. So I thought that was kind of interesting. I got nothing on Mastodon.
What?
linuxatemyram.com. It's a really good piece of information. So if you wanna check that out.
Oh, okay.
It kind of
For a minute
talks
there,
about.
I thought you said download. I thought you said something about downloading more RAM.
No. But you can. I mean, technically, you can if you enable ZRAM, and so you download the packages for that. You can then download more RAM. Technically speaking, I mean, sort of. Anybody here
I
use
always
ZRAM?
run that on my Raspberry Pi.
Yeah,
ZRAM?
I've used ZRAM.
Bye.
I have it configured all my installs. So I have an Odroid machine which has only 4 GB RAM because it's a single board computer. So if I want to use browsers and also run like compile kernels, it's better to have more RAM. So I use ZRAM.
Got it. I have not used it. Hasn't come up, I guess.
It's better than swap. That's just my personal opinion.
It really does magic on a Raspberry Pi because they just don't have a lot of
Yeah,
power and stuff. It will make a Raspberry Pi from worthless to usable.
Really?
Yep.
Oh God, yeah. I have
So
a laptop that only has 2 gigs of RAM in it, and I mildly surf the web. Like I'm not watching tons of videos or anything, but it only has 2 gigs of RAM. The only reason it works is because of ZRAM.
that's interesting. I should check that out.
It's more
I gotta.
useful for lower spec computers, older computers.
Okay.
I think it's like it really shows its power there. Even for computers with 8 GB RAM, you'll see some use maybe for 16 GB RAM or 30 GB RAM. Unless you're using them like crazy, you won't see any benefits. But yeah, for lower spec 2 GB RAM, 4 GB RAM, 8 GB RAM computers, you will really see a difference.
So would I see a difference on my 64 gigabyte of RAM machines?
No.
No, it won't help.
It's not meant for that.
64
okay.
meg? What? 64 meg, right? You said 64
Yeah,
meg.
no, gig.
Yeah,
Show
we get a
off.
lot of the 64 meg, or lower in the Mac community, the retro Mac community, because they deal with a lot of the old Macs over there with the itty bitty RAM sizes.
Yeah. Well, not for nothing. The Commodore 64 had 64 kilobytes of RAM,
Yeah, I
and
remember those. Yep.
you could go up to, with the right expansion, up to 16 megabytes of RAM. But it used like this page memory and how it swapped stuff with. It was like another, almost like a memory coprocessor that would allow for that kind of swapping to go back and forth.
Mhm.
Seems like some crazy magic to me, but nonetheless, they could do that. So, does anybody here else use ZRAM? Is that like a something that besides Servan?
Your cell phone does.
Oh, does it?
I'm pretty sure they do.
I
Interesting.
think I do. Yeah, I think that was an option when I
Unless
installed.
it's on my cell phone, I don't.
It's something I have to look and see.
Does Android have it by default? I'm not sure.
I honestly, I don't
think-
know.
I think Arch uses ZRAM by default.
Oh, he said
Oh,
At
ZRAM.
least on the Arch install. Yeah.
Adam, you don't have
Yes.
to search it
No,
up.
you have to do it manually.
You're from
Oh.
Georgia.
I think a lot of the operating systems, when you boot them from the ISO, they
Wendy.
would sometimes use ZRAM also. Like when you don't, when you're ready to install it and use it, I'm pretty sure they use ZRAM to make it work on some of them.
Yeah, could be. Well, anyway, I guess let's go ahead and check at the results here. So, from our straw poll, how does your RAM usage now compare to 5 years ago? With the top number of votes was somewhat higher now, at 34%, and second place at 28%, about the same. Third place at 17% is a lot higher now. 10% of the votes with a lot less now. 7% don't know, and then somewhat less usage now at 3%. So that's interesting. So anyway, so somewhat higher now. Now, I'm just curious with those that are in here. Now, I think if you're doing gaming, Adam, would you say you probably use more memory now, unless you're still running like Retro Arch and playing Pokemon Red or something like that?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Games these days take way more memory than they used to.
Yep.
What would you say the typical, like if you're going to have a gaming PC and you're going to do AAA gaming on it, assuming things like anti-cheat's not an issue, and I were to set up a Linux system for gaming, what would you say my baseline of RAM would be right now?
32.
32?
Yep.
Yeah, there are actually games that require 32. So
I mean, for me, most of my systems here in this room, the minimum is 16 gigs, but most of those aren't being used for gaming. But most of them are running 32 plus. The server, my file server is running 64 gigs.
yeah, 32 would be the minimum I would suggest. I mean,
Mhm.
you can run at lower settings and such
Doogie.
that don't need 32. But when you have a lot of stuff, if you have anything running in the background, it's gonna start chewing up, right? I mean, we already look at 16 gig as the baseline just for a decent
Yeah.
experience, and then if you want to add a big game on top of that, you're looking at quite a bit of a chunk. So 32 is kind of the minimum for a workable system,
And you
unless you're playing
specified for-
esports titles or smaller titles.
Streaming, stuff like
32 is
that.
generally the
and
Then
you
you get into the
specified for game.
streaming and you get the 32 gigs on both machines,
Well, it
and
sounds
VRAM's a whole other issue, but yeah.
Well, okay, with VRAM, what's kind of the minimum there? I suppose it depends on the screen
16. If you're gonna run like high end AAA stuff today, 16 gig is kind of the requirement. You can get
Wow.
away with 12, but then if you're running anything higher than 1440p, if you're running anything at 4K, 16 is a requirement. If you're running at 1440p, you can get away with 12, but 16 would definitely give you more comfort.
What about
See,
And if you add
I'm
mods
still in
and
the
stuff
Stone
into
Age
it, it goes even
myself.
higher, right?
I'm still in the Stone Age myself. I'm still rocking the good old 1080p gaming because I mean I play Potato, aka World of Warcraft, most cases. So, and I'm still rocking my main system, still rocking a 1080 Ti because I don't need anything.
I had Cyberpunk running at 1440p ultra wide with a bunch of mods, and I was using 22 gig of VRAM.
Wow.
Yes, Batman.
Yeah,
must
the
have looked
game itself was
gorgeous.
using about 18 gig of RAM and about 22 gig of VRAM.
And did it
How
run
was the,
perfectly?
Oh, of course it did.
How was the heat on that thing? Good lord.
Well, I don't know.
He was frying some eggs too.
how much VRAM does your system have?
24,
Okay.
What are you rocking, a 4090 or something?
4090, yeah.
So how do you think that, this is totally an aside, but I'm just curious now because it's on my mind. Did you see anything about that Framework desktop machine, Adam?
I did.
How do you think that would, like, based on the information provided, which is still limited as far as I'm concerned?
Talking about the Strix Halo one, right? The
The- well-
Ryzen Max or whatever it's called.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Is that going to
I
be
mean,
a
I'd
game
rock
changer?
No.
I don't know about for gaming, but like you could definitely do some gaming on that.
Okay.
But like
I was-
that'd be a pretty awesome small form factor box. I saw that and I was like, dude, I want one.
Yeah, it is pretty
It's
tiny.
definitely tiny, but I don't know if it's going to be a game changer. I mean, we got to see what. Obviously, we have to wait for more information. We have to see if people that are the Linux Tech Tips, the Gamers Next, blah 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 blah.
I mean, Linus did
Would-
show it off, but yeah.
And when they get into the in depth though, like really really big time, testing of it and stuff, and getting the numbers and things.
I think it would be more than adequate for more than half of gamers.
And do we have any information on? I actually haven't done much research on it myself, but as far as like what the price is, have they mentioned that yet?
Oh yeah, the
Yeah,
price.
they
You can check
mentioned-
that out for the
Did
desktop.
they actually mention the price?
Oh
of
yeah,
it?
yeah, yep. It's they're on
Oh.
pre-order right now.
Was the laptop the one they didn't mention the price for?
The
12-inch.
the 12, yeah, the Framework laptop 12. But
The cheap one, yeah.
mhm.
Okay,
I think they're still working out the I think the particulars.
Do you guys know like Framework is sponsoring many Linux distros, like Arch?
I don't know if they're sponsoring necessarily, but they are like some developers who
No, they are
do.
sponsoring. I spoke to an Arch developer. He
Oh.
says they're directly sponsored, and I'm not sure about the amount of money, but they're providing hardware. Yeah, they're actually sponsoring Linux distros. That's what I found that like really good because they're promoting development and better support and Linux development in general. I like that from them. They're giving back to the community.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Oh, Cruz wants in.
So
He's in.
it looks like if you were to if I were to price one out for myself like right now, it'd be about $2,100. So it doesn't seem like it'd be terrible.
No.
That's 128 gig of RAM.
Yeah.
I have to look at the base specs and see
yeah.
what the specs are for the thing, but lots of research to do.
It's quite impressive, actually.
It's definitely interesting.
The integrated memory is interesting to me.
Adam, I have a question for you. Why is this integrated memory becoming a thing now? Like lots of new laptops are
So
pushing this integrated memory.
in this particular case, in order to maximize the throughput to memory for this CPU, you have it's a 256-bit access, and so with a laptop, like even like like the Framework laptops, they only go up to 128 with dual channel, basically 128
Gig.
gigabit. Yeah. So
yeah, it's about memory bandwidth, yeah.
yeah. So I think based on what's available today, technology-wise, it was not they would not be able to utilize existing SODIMMs or whatever DIMMs to be able to access the memory at that bandwidth. That was really the limitation. So it wasn't it wasn't because they didn't want to make it modular, just because it's just not possible currently to do it. So we'll see. I guess we'll see how things develop out on that.
Yeah, generally speaking, the soldered on integrated memory stuff, well, not necessarily soldered memory as much, but the integrated SoC memory is definitely about bandwidth.
So I think
especially when you consider it's an integrated GPU that's sharing the same memory pool,
Mhm.
you can give that same memory pool as much bandwidth as you can, and you're not going to limit the integrated GPU as much as it would on an external memory bus.
Right. So I guess we'll see what this. Be interesting to see how this changes things in the future. But anyway. Well, cool. So RAM usage, I guess we can say it's gone up somewhat.
Yeah, I think the main culprit is the browser or the Electron framework. At least for me, I have two culprits in that. One is my Edge browser, or previously Chrome browser, other is VS Code. Both are based on the same like Chromium Electron framework, and they take up a lot of RAM. Like none of my other applications take up anything. And I've seen that RAM usage go up and up and up over the years. And it's like I had a 16 GB laptop. It was technically supports up to 32 GB. I didn't even know. I went and bought 32 GB RAM. I replaced 16 with 32, and that's why I'm surviving because of all my browser tabs and all my VS Code windows. It's getting ridiculous.
If you break that down a bit, like if you think about the increase in RAM requirements, right? When we break it down in terms of gigabytes, it doesn't sound like all that much of a difference, right? But if you look into the past, right? Let's say we move from a need for 64 megabytes to 128 megabytes. Well, it's double, right? But it's like 64 megabytes of increased memory. When you go from 8 to 16 gig, it's 8,192 megabytes you just added to your machine. And then 16 to 32, you added 16,384 megabytes. Like, the amount, it's a doubling, but when you think about the actual absolute value that you're moving forward is massive, just for the same thing you've been doing this whole time.
Yep. And also,
it's not that I needed 500 megs more. I need 8,000 megs more. Like, that's a bit absurd.
Like, I agree with Adam. It's not like all the apps are doing this. Like most of them are actually optimized for memory. Like I use like Western or other like PDF. For PDF, I use like something called Sumatra PDF. These have like really low memory footprint. And then I open VS Code and it just gobs up gigabytes of memory.
Yeah, I want to address a couple things in the chat here. So Leo says, as RAM gets cheap, people end up with more. The web sees all as free JavaScript real estate. And so Fratum says about the framework using the soldered on RAM, says the CPU is not ready for the market. Yes, you could say that. The whole idea was they wanted to be able to utilize it somehow, and so that was the best way they could find how. If you don't want it, don't get it, I guess. I probably won't buy it, at least not immediately. I don't have a need for it, but I think it's neat. I don't think RAM modules are going to go away, but I can understand the concern. I don't know. I guess we'll see. I mean, who knows? I mean, experts never write about anything out on the internet. So if you have, especially technology experts, if you ever watch some old computer chronicles and you hear the experts talk about the future of technology or where they see things going, they're all wrong, every one of them. So whatever you think might happen is probably not right.
Really interesting.
Yeah. For the most part, they're always wrong every time, and I think it's funny. So anyway, well, cool. Well, it is an open mic night, and which means we can meander back into RAM conversations or Yeah, wherever you want to go with this. But I did want to start off the conversation here with Jinda, and he did some what would we call it? Exploration of remote desktop fun with Apache Guacamole. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, I decided for fun to try Apache Guacamole, and I don't need Apache Guacamole for any reason in the world other than to try to learn something. So, it's a remote server desktop system, and you basically just need a web browser and a number. Kind of like I noticed, like some of the IT departments, they'll tell you to go to a website and they give you a number and you type it in and it works magically. And I go, wow, that's kind of neat. I want to try that. So I went to Apache Guacamole and read through the instructions, and I actually got it to work. And I was playing with it, and I'm going, it was kind of like annoying to get to install it and try to do all these things to do it. So then I just tried to run a script. One of the scripts that was recommended, unfortunately, didn't work. It was out of date. There was a couple packages in it that it was trying to install, like version 9, and 9 wasn't available, but 10 was. I did edit the script. I did get it to partially work, but I couldn't. And I did download this script. I'll put it in the chat for you guys. Within a few seconds, literally asking a few yes and no questions, you can have this up and running with this script that I posted. It's the Easy Guacamole installer. And it worked very, very well. It was a lot easier than me fighting with it for like an hour and a half trying to get it to work. So if you guys are interested in this, and this is something you want to try to do, I say try it with the script, and if it works for you, it works for you. If it doesn't, you can do it the old-fashioned way.
Now, when you say easy, was it easy for you or easy for a noob? How would you
Oh,
rate
it was easy for a noob, but the script is pretty straightforward. It tells you pretty much, do you want to do this? Default is yes, or you know what I mean? It directed you through it really nice. The script was spot on. I used MX Linux,
Cool.
and it installed it really quick, really simple. I had no issues whatsoever. The other script I tried was Mystic, I think it was called.
I had problems
non-
with that one.
Unfortunately, it kept on it saying that things weren't where they're supposed to be, like version 9 and 10. And I did go into it and edit it and changed it around as much as I possibly could. But my talents on doing that aren't there. But it was a good learning experience. I did learn a lot.
Can it do like unattended access as well? Like, could you use that, set that up so that you could log in remotely to another machine unattended, where they don't have to approve the login?
It had wake up on land and all the options that you would ever think of.
Okay, so you do install an agent on the machine
Yeah.
itself. All right, that might be worth checking out.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly how it works, because I only did a remote, to my Raspberry Pi. You know what I mean? I only did it once just to see if it worked. But it did have a lot of options in it, a lot of really interesting things that it could do. And you are hosting it yourself. You're not relying on somebody else.
That was my next question. So
Yeah.
So then here's the question I'm going to pose to you. So I in the Texas facility that I work at, there was on the production side, which has to be separated from the scary internet, I set up a Rust desk server. It's
Right.
like a Docker image on a specific machine. And I set up so I could have a way to basically jump into all those boxes remotely without going through the scary internet, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
But my criticism for Rust Desk is, if somebody closes the application out, hits the X, and it goes away, it doesn't live in the system tray like a good application, like well-behaved applications. Not saying it's not a good application. That's actually great. But and if that happens, then I can't. Actually, I could potentially restart it, but they are Windows machines, so I don't know if that makes any difference. Anyway, so that's my only really criticism, is that I have to make sure that's running. And although it is part of the auto start, and I can force a remote reboot, I don't know if I want HMIs rebooting on people while they're working. So that's one little concern too. But that's really my only complaint of RushDesk is the inability for it to live, in the background. That's really it.
Right.
And so
Right.
if this is something,
what OS is a target on that one for Rest Desk?
I have Windows hosts.
Oh, Windows. Okay.
Now, these machines could run Linux. I could actually switch them over to Linux, and I might actually have to because they're running Windows 10, and I think everything
End of life October.
Yeah. And they're even though they're brand new HMI, like pedestal computers, they're 8th generation Intel, like mobile processors on them because they have to be like low, like they can't have any like fans or anything like that the way they're running. They uses all heat sinks and everything else, so.
And you didn't try? Are you allowed to do RDP with Tailscale?
I probably could.
Okay, because there's you can tighten the RDP side of things to only accept that one like incoming connection, so that the RDP isn't really a problem anywhere else, and only accept the Tailscale stuff. So that could be a nice.
I don't know if I can have.
intermediate plan.
I don't know if I can have Tailscale though, because they can't talk to the scary internet. Would be the only issue. So I'm gonna have to run my own Tailscale or Headscale locally to be able to do that. So that might be some added complexity.
But it'd
Yeah.
be fun.
So yes, but when I don't live in Texas and I only go there every other month, and I have to do everything remotely, I got to find a way to make
Well,
sure
it
it's.
does it.
means
yeah.
you need to go there, visit more often, and get some good Mexican food. That's all.
Actually, brisket is really good, and I
Yes,
totally
yes.
agree.
And
But
steaks.
it's very disruptive to my life to do that because usually I do Linux Saloon on a Saturday and then I fly out on Sunday, and that's it's
You can do it.
can be problematic. But so do you know if the guacamole? Do you know if that it can do unattended? Like, can that run in the background? Because I wonder if that might be a better solution for my case.
I
So
mean,
it's basically it's a terminal server. So the idea is that you're using it as a sort of jump server to connect to other existing connections like RDP, SSH, etc.
Oh,
So
okay.
if you serve RDP on the machine, as long as your certificates and all that are good or in order, Guacamole can just RDP into those. It's just basically a web interface to a terminal. In this case, RDP or SSH or whatever.
Okay. Interesting.
It's worth
It can
going
also be
to the
behind
link.
like LDAP and all that too, just for like authentication's sake as well. That's kind of the advantage, right? Instead of just giving people random RDP access, you give them access to the
But
terminal server through LDAP or whatever, and you can audit the things on the LDAP solution through LDAP and through Guacamole, right?
Which is the best way
Eric.
to kill it.
Currently, everything's
Nate.
controlled through domain controller, and not
That's
anybody
good.
can just access like the RDP.
Cool.
It's actually not. Random users can't RDP into things. Only administrative users can, and I'm one of them. So what do you say? I'm sorry, Eric. I interrupted you like twice, 3 times.
No, it's okay. I was just going to say, if you go to the Guacamole homepage,
Mm.
the video that demos it is actually really funny.
Yeah, it's good.
Whoever created it has a good sense of humor, but it shows you how they're able to connect to 3 different sessions, Windows, Linux, and then just a terminal session from like a server. And yeah, they just had to like log in, and then the capabilities of like file transfer and the performance of it, stuff like that. So
It's
But it's
amazing
just funny.
web-based too. Like if you could do it in a web browser, that really
Mm-hmm.
helps a lot with like allowing connections with the 443 outbound, because my job, my work laptop is like super locked down, and so sometimes it'd be kind of hard to like remote into my home machines, and I don't want to push the limits on bypassing that. So the web is kind of nice.
Yeah, it makes sense. I have-
Zoe in chat wants to know if avocado is one of the dependencies of guacamole.
Yes. Yes.
Nate can definitely tell you that when he goes to Texas again.
Yep. No, that's a fact. You do, in order to build guacamole, you have to have some of your core avocado components.
Spices and corn chips, I think, would help too.
That's true.
Corn chips, yeah.
I also like
Does
garlic.
it get bad after a few hours?
Let's not get on a food tangent now, people.
Well, a lot of recipes are open source, so you can. It's actually it falls in line.
They're also open belly.
Yes. Yes. Well, cool. I'll have to dig more into that. So I appreciate that, the Easy Guacamole installer, because I think I'd like to maybe toy around with it, because this might be a better solution than RustDesk for the way I'm using remote desktop. So
Yeah, it might be, Nate.
yeah.
For home use, I like I said, I don't think anybody would want it.
I like RustDesk well enough for home use. I just leave it
Me
open
too.
on the computer because, if someone screws it up, it's me. But I generally try to make sure it's not messed up. So just leave RustDesk on and minimized, and then I can access it when I need to. But most of the time I'm doing it I'm not using the graphical interface on a computer, a Linux machine. It's usually always terminal for a Linux machine. So very rarely. But anyway, well, cool. Thank you for that. Servan, you said something about ultraviolet radiation. What was it? Or no, it's something else.
Nice joke. Yeah, someone suggested to me something called UV.
Okay.
So if you're using Python, like anyone using Python for development or for any coding stuff, you know the issue of different Python versions, dependency management, version management, virtual environments, package management, so you might use like Poetry or virtual environment for package management for a project. You might use something called pipex to install Python apps, like for command line, or you might use something called pyen for managing different Python versions. So overall, like handling Python is like a big mess. But what if I tell you there's one tool which combines all of this into a single solution? So that's UV. So it does Poetry package management for a project. It can do virtual environment stuff. It can do pipex stuff. It can use Pine. You can do everything. Like
Do you have
do
you have a link to this?
the Python tools. Huh?
Do you have a link
Yeah,
to
I can
this?
share a link.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would be groovy. Or
It
rad.
is a really popular GitHub. I think it has already 11K stars or something. Let me check. Oh no, 43K stars. Okay. 1.2K forks.
Cool. This is good.
Yeah, like again, people who are familiar with Python development know all the tools I'm mentioning, might use them every day. And actually, I haven't explored much. I've installed it on my systems, but because I'm already, the issue with Python management is that you have to delete your old stuff for the new stuff to work.
Okay.
So I have not yet transferred everything over to UV, but I'm hoping to use it slowly and transfer my stuff over. But it seems like a really neat solution for most of the Python issues you're facing. And it's one-step solution, so there is no there's no interactions between stuff. There's no issues like with like different things messing with each other. So it's like a one-step solution. That's what I like about it.
Installable without Rust or Python via curl or pip. Supports Mac OS, Linux, and Windows. So that was not the right order, because alphabetically it should be Linux, Mac OS, and then Windows. I'm gonna do a I'm going to do like a pull request on that. Change it.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, that's the one thing I like about it. Is like it integrates everything into like a single coherent workflow. It's like, okay, you want to use Python 3.12 for a project in a folder, and you want it to be like in a Poetry like package management. You can do it, or you can just have a virtual environment with Python 3.11 in a folder, or you want to set global Python to Python 3.10. You can do that. It's like so convenient. or you want to install like an app. There's several apps which are Python based. Like if you're using R language, there's something called Radeon, which is a terminal based R like console. You need Python to install that. So I use pipex. You can directly use it using UVX is pipex for UV. It's so neat. You don't need to install pipex. You don't need to install poetry separately. You don't need Pyon separately. It's a one-stop solution.
That's cool. That's something I definitely need to play with for sure. Huh. So it just replaces everything according to the GitHub. Neat. So, does anybody here use UV for anything?
Found out about it, I don't know, an hour ago.
Okay.
Hey, I think they should make Savan the official salesperson for UV.
I think so too. Servon, it looks like you got a new job. I'd
They'll
probably
pay you
doesn't
an
pay anything.
exposure.
I haven't even used it regularly yet. It's like, again, someone online, like I talk some tech with people on social media. So someone was saying, why not use this? Okay, I'm like, okay, cool.
That's interesting. Yeah, it seems like it. I mean, I don't do all that much with Python, but it does seem like it's a nice way to consolidate a lot of.
Yeah, if I
Consolidate,
touch
organize.
Python, it's like DistroBox because I'm not having Python touch my host system. I just try to separate it that way. But this sounds like it does that and even more than that, which is
Yep.
cool.
Yeah. I mean,
neat.
Python, like, I believe in 3.11 or 12, kind of enforced you to use virtual environments or your system's package manager. So if you try to use,
Oh, I
like,
heard about that. Yeah.
if you try to use pip system wide, it'll puke on you.
Well, good deal. Well, thanks
I
for
mean, the number of people who've probably hosed their, install of apt by messing around with their Python is probably at least in the 5 digits at this point.
Yeah, so especially in like Linux, where Python is installed as a system dependency, and people use
Right.
that. It's a whole mess. Like the more like if you see on any Linux forum, at least 5% of the issues are just Python issues, or maybe higher. I'm underestimating the number of issues.
Do you do a lot of Python stuff?
Yeah, I use Python for my PhD thesis. I use Python for my hobbies. I use Python for everything. I actually use Python for like writing Enduros, like build scripts installers instead of Bash, because you can run Bash using Python using subprocess run for Bash commands. So I just wrote, I can do whatever. Like Python for me, it's like I can keep adding packages, like do new things. I think it's more flexible than Bash for me, and I can run Bash commands inside it. So I can just use subprocess run. So I've transformed some of the old like Enduros ARM scripts into Python, and yeah, it worked well. Like you can create like command lines things like command line utilities using Python. It's very easy than using Bash for the same purpose. I forgot what package is that. Yeah, give me like 10 seconds. I'll tell you. So it's called.
I recently had to build some custom Python modules and packages for work because, they were replacing some Perl script from, when the deep magic was made. And so having to duplicate that functionality, and we were building separate modules for the functionality and trying to make it as Fisher Price as possible, but you can only get so far.
It's called argparse. So you can use argparse to create command line utilities for options and helpers. It's like really convenient.
Well, groovy. Well, I have no idea what else to say about it, other than groovy.
And also, I use Python to create GUI apps. I can use. It's at least it's a one-stop shop for me. I can use data. I can do data analysis on it. I can do my research on it. I can do whatever. So it's very flexible. But again, flexibility comes at a cost. So that's why you need different environments. It's a mess. So UV helps deal with that mess.
That's really cool. Do you think that's gonna be the standard going forward? Like, to do you think people are just gonna start gravitating toward UV in the future for Python?
I think so. But again, these tools are not like, I've never heard of it like 2 weeks ago. I'm like, why? Why did I hear about this? Why is no one telling me about this? I think Adam also has the same thing. Like, why have I never heard about this? It has like 43K stars on GitHub, but no one told me about this.
Well, there have been 159 releases, looks like. So I don't know how old this is, though. Fairly, at this point. Cool. Well, hey, thanks for that. So I know there's a lot of Debian users here, people who like the Deb. So there has been a initial freeze date announced for Debian 13. Is anybody concerned about the number because it's 13 in the title? Does that make anybody jumpy?
No, I don't have triskaidekaphobia.
Ah, that's such a good word. Triskaidekaphobia.
The 13 isn't the part of that I'm afraid it's the Debian part.
Okay.
You need to pronounce it 13. Sorry.
Debian 13.
13.
13. 13. Okay. So not 13, but 13.
No, thudding, like THUDEEN.
Thudding. Thudding?
Thudding.
Like the sound that
33.
a rock makes when you throw it in like kind of some squishy mud? Thudding?
Thudding, yeah. Just like Colin said,
It's
man.
pronounced 13.
That ain't.
Well,
Anyway.
Yeah, it was the best when I heard lots of Australian and Kiwi people say 2013.
I don't think I ever heard that until
we
now.
got two Aussies here, so we'll see.
Yeah, What
Oh boy.
what does Vince have to say about this?
I'm sorry, nothing to see here. I started it and then I just leave.
Yeah.
He started mute.
That's hilarious.
Oh boy.
So the Alpha 1 release was announced in January, but the per the mailing list, Debian 13 is set for its tradition of tool change freeze on March 15th, the soft freeze on April 15th, and then a hard freeze on 15th of May, with hard freeze for its key packages and packages without auto package test. The full and final freeze for Debian 13 after the hard freeze is still to be determined and will be announced at a later date. So Debian 12 for perspective had its transition and tool chain freeze beginning on the 12th of January of 2023, and its actual release occurred on 10 June. So, but 6 months-ish, I guess, or 5, 6. Anyway, wait, 5 months. So from freeze to stable. So Debian 13 could debut stable in August. So anyway, so I thought that's kind of neat. I know MX Linux is one that we all seem to like, or a lot of us seem to like, and I don't know how that trickles down to like the Ubuntu's, if at all. But anyway, so I thought it was
Ubuntu pulls from SID, so.
Or does it? So it doesn't matter.
I think so. Yeah.
Well, Sid was kind of neat on Toy Story, right? A little unpredictable.
Such a good boy.
He was. Oh, good boy.
And that's
Well,
what happens when you don't hit your kids.
Mm-hmm. When you don't hit your kids, is that what you said?
Uh-huh.
I don't condone violence. Don't condone violence. Anyway, so I don't know if anybody had any anything they're particularly excited about coming up here this year. Like if there's any technological,
Year of Linux desktop.
the gaming desktop maybe.
The gaming desktop.
well,
Never heard
game-
of that one.
gaming-
Looking-
The gaming
Oh, right.
handhelds.
Yeah, not the desktop, sir. Not the desktop. Close. It's getting there.
I don't know. I'm waiting for the
But,
year of the
yeah.
Windows desktop. So
The year of the good Windows desktop.
right.
The one.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for
That
that.
was a
one.
long time ago. That was a long time ago. It already happened.
Okay, so which one is it?
I don't know. I just sort of saw it online that it happened already. I just figured, why would they put it online if they lied?
All right, so I know this is not Windows Saloon, but what would you say is the best Windows release?
7.
7.
XP.
Okay. XP.
The best or my favorite?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
The best is probably Windows 7. Yeah. My favorite was Vista. Because it was absolutely unhinged and they put everything they could into it, and I loved it.
Well, that I definitely don't agree with that one, but I mean, if you like it,
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It was such like there's so much to it that was different from XP. Like it's been like one of the biggest leaps in terms of technology in Windows, and people don't really appreciate that. That there's so many things that are in Windows 7, the best version, that started in Vista, that had to be done in Vista. Like there's a ton of stuff, the device driver stuff, the kernel enhancements, the file system set, like the volumes, shadow copy, all this other stuff that was like really big in Windows 7, and it all started somewhere, and it wasn't Windows 7.
right?
Because the idea was
Yeah.
that the reason why I got a bad rap, I suspect, was because the hardware wasn't up to scratch at the time it was released. That's
Yep.
what I understand it to
Correct.
be.
That's the
Yeah.
biggest issue. Yeah.
Everybody knows that the best Windows release was Windows Me.
Not Windows U, sir.
Yeah. It's me
My
or you?
issue, Adam, my issue with Vista is because it came pre-installed on my laptop. I didn't have an option to do XP. I couldn't wait to upgrade to Windows 7. Like the day I got it, I upgraded it. It was not that good. Like Windows 7 is Windows Vista, but all the bugs fixed.
Yeah, it's basically like Service Pack 3 or whatever, right? That's what it
Yeah,
is.
so Windows 7 is just Windows Vista, but this, all the bugs are gone. It's a wonderful. Like that's why I like Windows 7 so much. But Windows Vista, like a raw experience, I had no choice on it. I think I spent maybe a year or two on it.
I
because
just
it
think
came
Windows Vista
pre-installed.
doesn't get credit for the good things it did, and only gets
Uh-huh.
remembered for the bad times people had.
Yeah, all the new features in Windows 7 from Vista.
Yeah,
I
like
agree,
90%
totally.
of 7 is just Vista. Yeah.
Yeah, like Windows 7 is just Windows Vista bug fixed.
But also the memory
Right.
footprint on Windows 7 was much less than that of Vista. Like they cleaned so much up.
It was less. And Windows 8 was less than 7.
Was it?
Mm-hmm.
Are you sure about
Yes,
that?
sir. Absolutely.
Okay, I'll believe you on that one.
What?
Because
I'm looking forward to Cosmic Desktop. Who's looking forward to Cosmic Desktop? I
Yeah.
am.
Not me. I'm happy with KDE or Mate or whatever.
So what is okay, Colin? Now I need to know, what is Cosmic doing that would make you just abandon all the others in favor for it, other than buttons
It's
are in a
just-
different place?
Not the buttons in a different place. I'm just, I think it would be good. Well, let's look at it this way. I've got this Lenovo laptop here. It's not a very strong laptop, but I actually put something from USB onto hard drive through the Cosmic Desktop the other day, and I've never seen anything transfer so quick and fast. So I don't know what that's all about, but and the fact that it's just it's got it's sort of a mix between KDE, Cinnamon. It just has all that mix, and plus you can make it a window manager if you want. So that's what I'm not that I'm into window managers, but I think it's good to have something new, and it's quite fast. On this old laptop, it runs really quick, so it seems to be have a better response time than a lot of other desktops I've used. So that's just from using it up to this point on a slow laptop. So I'm only using it on that because it's not a production machine as such.
Yes.
So, but I think it seems to work quite well so far. It just seems to be. I'm hoping that it can be modular so a lot of other people or distros can use it as a main desktop environment, because it might be a better plugin than a lot of others. Maybe. I don't know. I'm not into the technical stuff, but for me so far, using it just on the odd occasion here and there seems to work fine. It's definitely a lot more things that need to be done with it because it's still in alpha, but
That is a good
I'm
question,
looking forward
Heather.
to it.
Good question. Heather wants to know how
How
we
do we
get
get
on
on the
Windows
Windows
as a topic.
topic?
Well, Heather, the answer to that is actually pretty simple. Sometimes things just happen.
Actually, the answer to that question is ooh, squirrel.
No. Yeah, I think the thing that I like about Cosmic was, so I mean, it's not ever going to take me off of Plasma, because Plasma has a lot of features that I just want. But I think the neat thing about Cosmic is that it has, it feels like a good product for just like a, for like basic desktop like usage, like basic desktop interaction that is probably a little more customizable and perhaps like, I don't know if to say unique, but I don't know what I'm trying to say, about like more
They got some of the
little
they
more
got some, I think
usable than GNOME.
Useful, yes.
Yes,
Yeah, useful,
that
yeah.
well, that was my thing too. I think it's got the things that GNOME doesn't have that Cosmic will have, and I'd like to see probably one day that maybe Ubuntu might jump onto Cosmic and give it the more features that GNOME lacks, and have a bit more of a few more options for users that like to just tweak that little bit here and there, or have those things that are missing in GNOME. So that I think looking at it from a GNOME perspective, it's probably going to be a better option than what GNOME puts out. GNOME is simple by design, and that's the way it's supposed to be, but it just seems to be just that little bit too simple. That's what I think, but that's what I'm looking. I was hoping that this might be a better desktop for other distros moving forward. Whether they do jump on board with it, I don't know.
I think the other interesting piece about Cosmic is that it's some of that vertical integration that System76 has, because they are, kind of, I don't want to say the Apple effect, but kind of. So their software and their hardware are a little more in alignment. The kind of integration might be a little bit tighter. And so I think they're going for, a better product-like experience that matches the design language of the entire company. So I think that's kind of more the compelling thing for it, and maybe that's why it does appeal to me. Nothing against System76, I think they do great work, but I just don't think that I'm not a fan of the GNOME workflow. It's fine, it just doesn't work well for me. And so this Cosmic, though, I think is a little bit closer to what I would like as an alternative. And I think from like a, let's say just say from like an IT perspective, IT management perspective, I think that Cosmic would be easier to support than Plasma in a work environment. I think that's really the compelling piece of it.
What kind of MDM MDM features do they have that will make it any easier or to manage.
There are
So
less
what kind of-
things for somebody to mess up. Is basically what it boils down to. I mean, probably if you want to lock down the Plasma desktop, you could definitely do that. I think, but I don't know of any way of. That's not true. I'm not exactly sure how I would do it right now. I have an idea how I would do it, but I'm not exactly sure how I would do it. I know how to do it in Windows, but
Well, like GPOs.
yeah. And I think there's some
Yeah,
things you could do.
There
So,
are options. Configuration management is an option. Sort of a pull model of configuration management or event-driven configuration management is an option for locking down your Linux desktop in an enterprise. So if you
Yeah.
have a centralized control node for, like, say, Ansible, for example, you could do either event-driven or kind of profile-based pull configs, and that would pull and apply the Ansible configuration to the machine on login. Just an idea.
Yeah. A little more work than
If you
than
wanted to
setting some
get
rules.
around the weirdness that is the mixed environment, right?
Yeah. I would probably just have something completely locked down. Like, I wouldn't use it for someone's desktop, but probably like some HMIs or something like that. If that makes any sense. I think that would be more suitable
Yeah.
for those kind of tasks. But, yeah, I don't know. We just have to do, tap the screen and turn on this pump or turn off this thing or move this to there and activate that, just simple things like that.
Right. Doesn't Plasma have like a kiosk mode you could do that with?
Yeah, I think it might. I don't know. I haven't seen it.
They
I think at least it did at one time. I know that. That's like a big picture mode. But I've never seen that. So,
I don't know. I want to say one of the desktops had a kiosk mode. I'm pretty sure it was Plasma, where you could just kind of put it in a single app view. The idea, I think, was for like, originally for like kids, right? You just give them like the web page as just the only thing they can interact with or something. Or obviously a kiosk as well, where you just need people to interact with your line of business app and not the actual desktop underneath.
Plasma kiosk. Yeah, there's some configuration parameters for that. Well, now I have to look that up. 'Cause that
The
might
more you
so-
know.
Do. I need to make that like an OBS transition thing. Every time someone says that. Oh yeah, Don brings up a really good point. Folks talk about DST yet? Might want to set your alarm back for tomorrow morning. My phone does that automatically, and so does my computer, so I don't have to worry about that anymore. Did anybody have those old alarm clocks that really obnoxious, like sound? Did anybody have those? I'm talking about. Does anybody still have one?
Yeah, like a clock radio.
Yeah.
Those are awesome, actually.
Yeah, I bought one for my kids.
Yeah. Does it make that same obnoxious buzzing sound though? Like that's a
They
very.
had the choice of the radio or that sound, and they chose that sound.
Is it the
love
same
my kids.
sound from like 1987? Is it that same
Yes,
awful?
it's totally the. Yeah.
Yeah.
Man, I'd call CPS if I heard somebody's kids chose that over the radio. I'd be
In
wondering
this
what's
case,
going on
I think it
at
was a
home.
parent taking it over the radio.
Gaslit them kids into that sound. No way.
I dad good.
It's because they're not allowed to
Okay,
listen to
good.
music, Adam.
Oh, right. Forgot about that. Yeah. It'll corrupt the youth.
Yeah.
Bandit.
Now, real talk though, it's actually a really good like sort of digital well-being thing to do is to get like a clock radio kind of thing for your alarm rather than your phone. Because like
Wait.
then you're not really picking up your phone, which some people have less control over continuing to look at their phone and do other things on, right? And so also if you have the radio across the room, forces you to get up to shut it up.
That's true.
So,
Or if you
Assuming
have-
you don't have mobility issues or something, right? But,
people actually still use alarms.
Or if you have people in your home who can't hear their alarm, and you have to get out of bed to go shut it off.
Right, been there.
See, I have never actually used an alarm to wake up. I have a natural clock. I can get up.
I just
need
shirk
to.
responsibility.
Jason.
I just don't.
No,
Jason
serious.
have the same
I have
thing.
never
but
set an alarm in my life. If I
I
need to
use
get up at 5 in the
alarms.
morning,
If you
I get
needed
up
to
at-
be up for sure for court, you
Yep.
wouldn't set an alarm.
You wouldn't
Nope.
set an alarm.
Nope. I wake up about half an hour or so or more, probably about an hour earlier than I need to get up. Then I get up, shower, and go.
That's because Jason's already wired in with Neuralink. And he has been for 30 years.
I am serious, Eric. I have never used an alarm in my life. I have a natural alarm.
Florida man jailed
You
for
can-
no alarm.
You'll see no alarm over there.
There's got to be more to the story.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, if you never had to wake up at another time than what you normally would wake up, I guess
Yeah.
that would work. But
Yeah.
Oh, I've
exactly.
stayed in the Pacific Standard Time zone. I'm from the Eastern, and I still get up. Didn't set an alarm.
I'm saying, do you get
Natural.
up at this? I get everybody that you have a natural rhythm, a circadian rhythm, or whatever. But like, what if you had to get up at 3 a.m. to go to the airport?
Not a problem. I used to work when I worked the first
probably
job I had
is.
with Apple. My shift started at 3 a.m.
Yeah,
I
but that
would-
was a regular time you woke up for a shift. He's saying
No,
like if
I
you
had
wake
to
up at
start that
normally
shift,
8,
Adam. I had
you
to
have
start
to wake
that
up
shift.
at 2.
Right,
No,
but
no.
I had to learn that shift
I mean,
first. Before it wasn't like natural. I just got that shift and I woke up.
So I guess maybe to be fair, like if I go to bed, like I need like 6.5 hours of sleep. That's all I need. I wake up after 6.5 hours. Like I can't sleep past that. Maybe sometimes 7, but basically there's maybe like a half an hour fluff in there. But so if I go to bed earlier, I just wake up earlier. But I do need an alarm to make sure that I do get up because sometimes I'm staying up late working on a problem when I really should have gone to bed 3 hours sooner, and that's when I need my alarm. It's when I've blown
I've
my.
actually gone to bed
time.
at like let's say 3 a.m. or whatever, and had to be up at 6, and just I was up.
So like, does a time
No alarm.
change? So like the time change tomorrow, you'll still wake up at the correct at the time that you want to wake up.
Yeah.
So what time are you gonna wake up tomorrow? What time would you normally wake up on a Sunday?
Normally wake up on a Sunday because of the furry little brats. I usually get up about between 9 and 9:30,
Okay.
so they can get their breakfast. So not a problem.
And so you're gonna wake up between 9 and
I
9:30
reckon it's the
tomorrow.
cats that wake him up. It's the cats that
Yeah,
wake him
yeah,
up. That's why he doesn't have an
natural
alarm.
alarm clocks.
Hey, I have not always had 11 cats, damn it. Excuse me. No, I seriously never used an alarm. Even when I was in high school, never used alarm.
Because you didn't have cats in high school, or
Nope. We had 2 Dalmatians that slept on a like a porch thing at night, so they weren't inside the house. But no, I've always woke up without an alarm.
Wow.
It's just the way I was trained. I guess my body trains itself. I don't know how it all works, but
So I wanted to ask everybody, has anybody been watching these drama videos regarding Firefox terms of service?
no, I've seen them on my YouTube recommendations, but I've never clicked on them. I don't care.
So
No, I don't really either.
that was actually some subject suggested by Zoe Ronan about talking about that. I guess it's the big elephant in the room. So I'll be honest with you. I know nothing about it. I have not read into it. It's just the reason I guess I didn't look into it is because someone is always complaining about Firefox, like all the time, and so I just to me it's just white noise because as many complaints as I would have about someone may have about Firefox, I have that about Chrome. I just do. So
the TLDR of the whole mess is they're not selling your data, and whoever their lawyer is that writes up the privacy policy did it badly, and they're trying to fix it. Of course, just like you said, everybody's always complaining about Firefox. So, I mean, to me, it's the only viable option.
I think the point that I'd like to make is that, like, especially with the drama content, is the people who really would want Firefox to continue and be successful are also seemingly the people who are, sort of going about with all this drama as well. And so it's kind of shooting themselves in the foot, is it not?
Yes.
Because you're just driving people away. The only way it's going to be successful is to increase its share of the browser market. And it's an odd and sad thing to see.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
I think it just
food.
unfortunately continues to be an issue for Mozilla to just be able to communicate. And I think this is more of a software development thing. I mean, although they have a marketing team, I just, it baffles me how they continue to just flub things like this. You know, if they
Like-
wanted to, and it's not like people aren't going to notice, right? I mean, they're not going to pull a fast one. And when they announce it, they should know better than to just leave it so open-ended like that. They knew people would have this reaction. I mean, come on. How can you not?
Yeah, but sort of boilerplate lawyer text is also a thing, right? So you kind of
Oh,
Yeah.
people take things literally, and the like it's especially with the internet, it's accelerated this phenomenon. Like tearing things down is way easier than building something up. It just happens so often.
well, I will give you guys the fact that yes, there are certain people that are going to jump all over Mozilla for doing anything. I don't disagree with that. They have their detractors. But I also would say that they seem to have a consistent problem being clear in not only their announcements and things, but their pipeline, their roadmap. Like, what are they doing? I guess I don't have a lot of faith that they're the best stewards of like the open source way and privacy and security. Like I feel like they seem to be having so many issues just getting their structure straight internally and producing a good web browser. Like
See,
that's all I care about.
appreciate that. That's actually really fair, constructive criticism, and that's actually, I believe, more the way that this should be approached, right? The way you've just explained that, Eric. I think that the trouble comes when it's all just dramatized and people are just sort
Yeah.
of making a big deal out of something that was fixed. It got fixed. It got changed. So that's it. What more is there? There's nothing else to
Yeah,
read into it.
And I think Saran's that's the way you do it, right? You see it and you say, nope, I already know what this is. I'm just going to pass on by that
Yeah.
one. Content creators gonna create. I mean,
Yeah, that's what it basically comes down to, isn't it? Because the
Yep.
fact that you're saying that you're never using Firefox again and you've uninstalled Thunderbird as well, and you've got many followers, right? I mean, I
but then on the
don't
other
get
side,
that.
if you watch Nico's stuff, then you have the other extreme, in my opinion.
Yes, I'll
Right?
do.
I mean, neither of them are good takes, in my opinion.
So, and I think I know who you're referring to, and I just want to, I'm not calling out anybody by name, but there is a certain content creator who said that he's not going to use Firefox and Thunderbird anymore. And if you look at his history on his YouTube platform, he has about 4 or 5 other I'm never using Firefox again videos over the last about 4 or 5 years. And it's like, uh, come on, are you just making content? Which, I
Oh.
am a content creator, but
Yeah, but do you have paid sponsors, Dale? Do you have
I
to
do
keep
not.
that machine going?
Yeah, I do
Do you?
not.
So why not
Okay.
report it as news? Okay, this happened, this happened, this happened, and
Is
then
this
probably
simple?
give an
Just
opinion
report
at the end.
VPN?
Yeah.
Yeah, I listen, this is the game, right? I mean, they make their living doing that, at least some part of it.
Yeah.
That is true. Yes.
It's they're doing what they're essentially paid to do, which is get eyeballs, and
Yeah.
is what it is.
Yeah, that's true.
But
I
it
mean, that
actually
is true.
turns off people like me. I'm like, should I unfollow? Like, should I unsubscribe? That's where my
No,
thing goes.
because
Once I see
think
these things, it's like annoying.
but I mean, think of the other content. Like I do like his other stuff, so I mean,
Yeah.
I will forgive him for having a bad
What are we
opinion or
talking
something that
about?
I
Why
don't
are we
agree
dancing
with,
around the identity
basically.
of this person?
I'm not dancing around. It's the Linux experiment guy.
Oh, okay. Okay. I must have missed that. Yeah.
I forget his name.
Yeah, I
Don't use
think
pronouns. Eat his name.
I
this
out.
really
guy
don't think
also,
it wasn't just
Brody
him.
also made a video on
No,
this.
it wasn't just
Nick
him.
from the
no.
Linux experiment.
Yeah, no, it was more than that.
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
more.
it wasn't just not just him.
No, and I like his
Others
stuff.
as
I'm
well.
not. And listen, he has every right
Yeah.
to. No, but everybody has their own right to choose what they want.
Yeah.
But and
Sure.
it is confusing, and it is worth saying to Mozilla, hey, can you please be more clear about this? But the hyperbolic, like, oh, it's the end of the world, and come on, we all know what that is.
I just
you know?
So
totally
here's the thing
idea.
too. Like,
Go ahead,
if
Vince.
Mozilla changed it, people can actually retract their statements because they should.
Well, no.
Should
because
they
No,
not?
because then you lose your views.
You lose the views, yeah.
Yeah.
See,
Come
this,
on
Well,
now.
this just gave me a great idea. I'm just gonna go through like all the packages and all the stuff that I use and just make a video every day saying, I'm not using Python again. I'm not using ripgrep again. I'm not using FD again. I'm
No,
not
no.
using sed. Sed is dead. Like just, go through every single one of them.
said.
Yeah, you can call me from your private plane in a year's time then.
Yeah. I'm switching to
You
fish
should
from
say which
Zed
version
shell.
of
I'm
Python you're
switching
not
to
using anymore.
Zed shell and from fish over and over again.
Be real specific.
I understand the drama and I get all the drama and everything, but sometimes I think it just goes to the point where they do have a lot of followers and a lot of influence, right? And it just makes me wonder if people don't get the drama that they might be leaving Firefox in droves because of what a few minority YouTubers said. But that's what bothers me a little bit. But maybe people are more switched on than what I think. I have to think, but
I did look through the comments on a couple of those different videos, different content creators, and the comments were probably 99% of them, well, screw Firefox, that kind of thing. And
yeah,
it
well,
was
that's
it
right.
was sad to see. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not like you said, it's good to call out Firefox, but it's not good to say stop using Firefox.
Yeah.
Good to see my negativity bot is working well.
All of
I
them?
agree with the influence they
Everyone.
have because, especially to a new user who looks up, like, I found the distro I'm using through a YouTube video. But now it's like videos won't influence me that much. But for many people new to Linux and tech, these videos are really integral for them to form opinions. So you have to be really careful.
You
I
mean
mean, I
people
come in
aren't
here every
choosing their
time.
distro from a make use of article?
I mean, I come in here every time trying to make drama just to increase Nate's views, right? But Eric keeps blocking me with all his sensible viewpoints. I'm trying, Nate.
I appreciate it, Vince. It does not go unnoticed.
I think there should be more responsibility placed because of the platforms. Like none of us have such huge platforms, so no one cares about what we're saying. But people who do, I think they take it a little bit lightly.
Yeah, I do want to throw in just some from the chat here too. So Don Leckland says it isn't just drama. Mozilla has done some screwed up stuff and is doing some other messed up stuff. We shouldn't dismiss it because someone is farming it for ad revenue. And I think that is a good point. And I'm not opposed to people
true.
making statements like I think it comes out of like what is your intent out of doing that? So if someone is if someone is farming it specifically for ad revenue, I mean, man's got to eat as that is a good point. A very a prominent trailer park dweller once said. So the there's I kind of get it if that's your job, but I also I'm a little concerned about the a lot of matter-of-fact statements, or when you're trying to corner an organization or person, with ideas, and not, is the intent to seek the truth and to uncover the truth, or is the intent just to get the clicks? Because I think there's a difference in the delivery of the information on that, and you're gonna have to basically kind of determine for yourself what it means to you and how you're gonna have to react accordingly. You know, I don't know, the whole, it's a crazy world we live in, and there's a lot of, you know, sometimes information might be a little bit hyperbolic, a little bit on the you know, on one side of it, but sometimes it might be necessary to pull somebody from the, like me, who's kind of asleep on the issue. Frankly, I'm not paying attention to it, to maybe at least pay attention. So maybe there is a service in some of the hyperbolicness, I guess. I don't know. But I'm not going to really hold it against anybody one way or the other.
To be
No, I think
fair,
they were talking about. Sorry, Eric.
that's okay. To be fair, on Nick's video, the first comment he did say someone from Mozilla had contacted him, and he would, I
Oh,
guess,
he did.
follow
Yes,
up with more.
correct.
Yeah. So
Yeah, he did say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very true. Yeah. So he's going to sit down and have a chat with that. Yeah, you're
yeah,
right.
I mean, he
did say at
seems
the
like a
end of
very
the video.
reasonable
Yeah.
person. So
No,
I think he was
does.
voicing his own frustration, and you know, to Dale's point, you know, maybe he's done this over and over. I don't know. I don't remember,
Yeah.
but you know, opinion pieces are opinion pieces, right? And at the end of the day, like, you either know that and kind of say, okay, well, I know this guy's content, and so I kind of get maybe where he's coming from. But you know, I agree that maybe you could soften it a little and just say, well, this is very much my opinion and very much like what I am going to do myself. I'm not telling you to do this, but this is why I'm going to do this. But yeah, opinion stuff is really, it becomes personality at that point. It's not so much information as it is entertainment, I guess. And you have to, you know, it's not news. It's not like it's the, you know, something you have to like consider that it has to have integrity or a very, you know, like stringent, you know, checklist, you know. I'm thinking that, you know, this is part of what he does. He does news and factual content and then opinion. So.
Oh, somebody said, and I can't remember who it was. Could have been Nico Loves Linux. I'm not sure, but it might not have been him. But they will talk about the fact that this is to accommodate AI in the future. So that was another subject as well. So that's an interesting
conjecture.
One. That's a whole other mess.
Yeah. Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah. I think everything's just going to kind of shake out in the end anyway.
Yeah, sure, it will. I just thought I'd bring it up as a subject. It's an interesting subject anyway. But
no, I think it's good. I mean, I guess so. The question is, of all the drama that has come out from this, is anybody looking at other options? I think there's obviously some people in the chat who's looking at other options now as a consequence. But I wonder
I just use Google Chrome.
Well, you know, I guess if it works for you, that's fine.
It doesn't, but I just keep using it.
Well, I mentioned I was using Edge last week, but now I've gone back to Firefox anyway. Yeah. I was just trying Edge to see what it was like. I haven't run it much.
Moving browsers is such a pain in the pain.
Like
how like I don't understand how people can hop between them. Like it's such a big move.
Well, is there a sync solution for browsers and passwords and everything that's not Google or Microsoft?
It's not even just the sync. It's like the expectations of operation. Like, just, you know, different things are in different places. Things act differently. There are different, you know, functionalities. Like I know, you know, on Edge, for example, there's a nice like split view and things like that, and there's some other functionality that I liked in Edge. But when I moved to Chrome, like on most machines I have Chrome, I just had Edge on Windows, right? Because it was already there. But like, things act differently on Chrome than they do on Edge, even though they're both a rendering engine, but that's not even the point. It blows my mind that people like hop between browsers. I'm like, that's a lot.
I know
because I don't. For me, I use KeePass, so I don't. None of my saved passwords are tied into any particular browser. I don't really particularly like leaving my passwords on browser if I don't have to, unless it's something I don't really worry too much about. But So as long as I can sync all my bookmarks, then I'm fine. So that's what I
Yeah,
do.
I agree with Colin. So all my passwords are in Bitwarden. So Bitwarden has
Right.
extensions across Firefox, across Chrome, Edge, and Edge. Again, we talked, I think 2 weeks ago, Colin. Like I also moved to Edge around the same time as Colin. I'm still on Edge, but
Right.
yeah, it automatically imported all my Chrome bookmarks. I didn't do anything. It's like I said import. It imported everything, so all my old bookmarks are there. And also I use Pocket, Mozilla's Pocket, for storing web pages with tags. So anytime I need to save a web page, if it is if it is only once in a while, I'll bookmark it, and I'll not bookmark it. I'll just use Pocket. If all my bookmarks are also in Pocket, so it's a very convenient thing also.
So I don't think the issue is necessarily your data syncing. Like bookmark syncing is a pretty known thing now, and a lot of people use third-party password managers and other things. But it's more about like, okay, you switch to Edge and you become used to functionality that is within Edge, right? Like you get used to the way Edge works, the
Yes.
features that Edge provides over other browsers. So then like you then move to another browser that doesn't have that functionality, and it's like, you all right with that? Like that
Yeah,
kind of
I
thing.
think I'm fine. I'm flexible. Like I've used Firefox on Linux machines because in ARM, like Chrome doesn't exist. I I don't want to build Chrome on ARM. Uh,
Right.
Chromium is not that good. Like you can install Chromium on ARM machines, but I don't like it that much. I just use Firefox. And then on Windows, I use Firefox sometimes, but most of the time I used to use Chrome. I use Edge, and Edge is fine. So I think I'm a little bit more flexible, with, like regarding
I think that's why I ended up
browsers.
settling on just Google Chrome, is because it's kind of the vanilla like web experience, right? It's like the default kind
Yeah.
of plane. So like there's nothing really compelling in Chrome that other browsers don't already have. And so that kind of lets my brain sort of set the expectation that everything is vanilla, and I don't kind of like latch on to, not gimmicks, but different features and things that each browser has. So I think that's why I'm doing.
Like
Then again, I can use GNOME without extensions, so I'm probably just broken.
the issue
But
with Chrome, again,
Probably.
talked about RAM, right, Nate, in the beginning. So Chrome consumes more RAM than Edge because Edge inherently has memory sync features. So it has like a sleep, it sleeps pages automatically. Chrome used to have extensions to use that. All of those extensions are broken for me. They don't work for me anymore.
it's actually a
So
built-in
you
functionality
save
with
on
Chrome now.
memory, because my new laptop, again, I bought a Windows and ARM Snapdragon laptop, which is ARM. It has only 16 GB RAM, and it's like I don't want to use Chrome because it just eats away all my RAM. I can't do anything else. So that's why Edge is much
So
better
Chrome
in
has
that
that
use
tab
case.
sleeping, by the way, like
It
natively.
has, but it's not as memory efficient as Edge.
I mean, yeah, it doesn't put everything to sleep except the thing you're staring at.
But you
Yeah.
have to remember though that Microsoft is like doing special things with Edge that Chrome can't do with the Windows operating system, which is a classic thing that they're tinkering with the OS with the browser to have it beat Chrome. So it's almost like almost a hard comparison to some degree, especially when it comes to memory management, because they got the inside scoop on how to make the most of it.
Adam, just to drive you a little bit nuts, on any given day, except for maybe Sunday and maybe Saturday, I use Firefox, Chromium, and Edge simultaneously.
There you go.
I mean, I get
Throw
that.
in throw
Like,
Safari in there
I'm
while
not
you're at
saying I
it.
can't use multiple browsers, but like, I just don't understand like what really like, distro hopping I can kind of get. There's a little bit of mental illness there, but it's okay.
Mental.
Desktop hopping, same thing, but like browser hopping just seems like
Yeah.
seems silly.
Yeah.
Well,
So-
especially if
like-
you,
I agree. I have used
especially
multiple browsers myself. Being on Mac, there's Safari, Edge, Chromium, Chrome itself. Also, was it Valdali? Or is that what it's
Vivaldi.
called?
Vivaldi.
Yeah, Vivaldi.
And a few other ones that there's a new one out that I forget the name of it now because I tried
Zen?
it for like 5 minutes. It could be Zen. I tried it for 5 minutes. I was like, I don't
Brave?
know how this thing looks. I use Brave too, but I always go back for whatever reason. I go back to Chrome, and the main reason is because it's what I use for when I was at work. We use because a lot of the native apps that we use for at the Bank of America, they would primarily only run without issue in Chrome. And a lot of it was like VMs and the HVDs and whatever else we wanted to access them. Access to host a virtual desktop, we had to go through and actually had to log in with Chrome. It's the only operating system that would allow the authentication to go through without any issues. So I've been stuck on Chrome, and that's what I've been using. Hello, Sophia.
So I just want to justify my
I
reasons.
think overall,
Adam.
I just use whatever like the default browser is. Like if I log into Plasma, I'm using Firefox. It's already there. If I log into Windows Edge, it's already there. On Mac, it took me forever to just not use Safari. I just eventually went to Chrome mainly for compatibility reasons. And I don't know. I just don't see I don't know. I would love for you guys to explain why use multiple at all. Why doesn't just one
I can
do
explain.
the thing?
So
Okay.
I use, and this is I think thanks to Eric about a year ago plus. I think maybe over a year ago, he introduced me to an application called Junction. On I think it was Eric. Was it not you, Eric? Junction. All right, Eric introduced me to
I don't
something
think
called
so.
Junction. I don't care. I'll give you credit. Somebody
Okay.
on Linux Saloon introduced me to Junction. And so what it is, it's like a it's like a traffic cop for hyperlinks, or I guess whatever you, in this case, just hyperlinks. So I have, and although some would say you should not mix work and home, because work follows me every day, everywhere, all the time. If something breaks at any point in time, I got to be able to go and fix it. I don't really get time off because it's just the way the company's structured at this time, and so this is the way it's going to be. So if I need to access something at work and fix it real quickly, I have that ability on my laptop. What I do is anything that's work related all goes to Edge, except for my Microsoft admin account. I have that go to a specific Chromium profile only. And so I do that. I'm sure there's ways to do this. You can all do it with all one browser. I get it, but this is just what works best for me. And then really the difference between Chromium and Edge in usability, the only thing that Edge does, I would say from the way I use a browser, is sometimes when I highlight something, it automatically pops up to the stupid menu, and then I have to hit escape to get out of it, or because it's just annoying. And then that's really it. And then anything that's personal, like that interests me as an aside, I only use Firefox. So let's say I get an email on Outlook, and it's like, oh, this really doesn't apply to work, but this is something currently, but this is something I want to research later. So I'll click on it, send it to Firefox, and then that night I'll probably read up on it in Firefox instead. That's the only reason that I keep multiple browsers open of different types, is just to kind of compartmentalize different aspects of what I'm doing. And that's really it.
And
Are you
Firefox
sure that's the
container.
only reason?
Container tabs would work in Firefox, but this is just cleaner. Virtual
Gotcha.
Desktop 1 has
Yeah.
Firefox. Virtual Desktop 4 has all my work stuff, and so I just keep all my work stuff in one Virtual Desktop and everything else in other desktop. Depending on if I'm working as a digital nomad and I only have one screen, then it changes a little bit. But basically, as a rule, Virtual Desktop 4 is personal. I mean, it's work. 1 is personal, and then sometimes they do intertwine because I
Hey.
hobby in the nerd space.
Hey, Adam, I've got a question for you. If you wanted a generic web experience, why aren't you using links?
There are certain sites with certain types of entertainment that I like that links can't render.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So Adam
Like,
also when he
it
runs
doesn't support
elementary
Flash. That's what I'm
OS,
trying to say.
when he runs Elementary OS, he's like, yeah, I'm gonna rock GNOME web browser.
See, the assertion here is that I'm running elementary OS, and that's where you went wrong to begin
That's how
with.
hardcore he is.
Yeah.
Default browsers all the way, baby.
Yeah, unfortunately, that would just never come to pass. So, but in a hypothetical world, I'd roll up with their Midori or whatever they got going on, and
Yep, Epiphany.
then I just stopped using a computer. So maybe I should.
Epiphany is the web browser downloader app for Elementary OS. Is where you
Oh,
go.
is that
to
what it is?
other-
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
You use Epiphany to get to real browsers.
Yeah.
I do have a
You
serious
know-
question though.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Go ahead,
Does
Adam.
anyone know if hardware accelerated video works in anything but Firefox these days?
I think it does because
What?
I use hardware accelerated acceleration for like CAD, like Onshape in Firefox, no problem.
No, anything outside of Firefox?
Firefox.
Oh, outside of Firefox, I
Yes.
use hardware acceleration with the WebGL extensions in Chromium as well.
I think he's referring to
And you've
video
confirmed
decoding.
it confirmed it works.
Yeah,
I think
I
he's
can.
referring to video decoding.
Oh, video decoding. I don't know.
'Cause that's one of the
Does it
big reasons I
refer-
do keep Firefox around. Yeah, I keep Firefox around because it does do accelerated hardware. That plus container tabs. But I just wanted to know if there's been any updates.
I guess all of my machines have CPUs that are powerful enough that I don't notice. But
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
flex.
How would I check to see if it's
I mean,
working
I'm just
or not?
telling you. It'd be Chrome under Chrome // GPU or whatever the browser is, Edge / GPU.
I'm sorry. Say
Then
one
you'll
more
see
time.
hardware decode or whatever video decode. something
Chrome.
Like
Chrome
that.
colon slash.
/ GPU.
I ask because I'm on battery power a lot, right? I'm on laptops a lot. That's why I ask.
Right. Well, I have a Mac for that, so.
That's
Well,
okay.
this
Another
says
flex.
Canvas hardware accelerated, Canvas out of process rasterization enabled, direct rendering display compositor disabled, compositing hardware accelerated. I don't even know what this means anymore. I mean, it seems like they're all contradictory at this point.
That's
but
been a
it-
thing for a long time. You can enable all the flags that you want, but unless you can
Yeah,
see
it
the
just doesn't
GPU
actually do
working,
it, yeah.
it doesn't do anything.
So
It can sit there and tell you that it's hardware accelerated, but you can throw up like a NVIDIA SMI or like some kind of AMD GPU top, and you'll just see nothing happening.
when it says GPU 0 vendor bunch of digits, that does say Intel Mesa Xe graphics. So I don't know.
I find it interesting though with all these new browsers, like they're coming up with crazy amount of features and throwing so many different things. And it's like hard enough to run your browser, eat up all the RAM as is. Like how much is serving up all these not gimmicks, but like
So the flag you're looking for. Sorry to interrupt, Prophetic. The flag you're looking for is there's like a list of graphics feature status. One of them just says video decode and video encode. Whether it says hardware accelerated there, but it can say hardware accelerated, but not actually be hardware accelerated on Linux. It's really kind of stupid. Sorry, go on, Prophetic.
this might be just an old man rant, but like just like how people are always complaining, I don't need all the bloat, I just something simple and easy. I wonder if we're approaching that with our browsers, because we have one pendulum swing with like Vivaldi and all these cool features, and then you have like Zen browser, who was like, okay, let's strip things down and keep it simple and clean interface. People are like having enough of it almost.
Well, I guess that's something to look into.
Yeah, Vivaldi
thought
has
Zen
built-in
was-
email now too, doesn't it? Vivaldi has built-in
Yeah,
email as
I
well.
feel like they've kind
Yeah.
of they've gone a little too far with some of the features. I mean, I've tried them and they work, but I guess I'm trying to struggle
Yeah.
to think of where I would want one application doing all of those things.
Right.
would
I think
keep
that's
monkey-
why. Again, I think that's why I go back to Google Chrome. Right. Like I don't need the applications and features that I need are in the web pages I'm visiting, not necessarily ironically the Chrome of the browser that I'm
Yeah.
interacting with.
I mean, Vivaldi's gone down the SeaMonkey path, honestly. If you
Right.
think about it, I don't know if you guys ever used SeaMonkey, but jack
Funny,
of all
Prolific
trades,
just
master of
mentioned that in
none.
chat.
Yeah. Yeah,
Dude,
we had the same thought.
for a while when it was pretty solid, really stable. The newsreader thing was pretty solid. But yeah, you pay a price eventually.
Isn't that what Conqueror used to do in KDE? Didn't that used to do email and stuff as well, or was just files and
No, it was just
formatting
files.
Filed.
and
Yeah, just
files?
files.
Was it? Oh.
Yep. All right, we are actually at time. So,
No.
yes, I know I like it when for a little bit in the beginning, the conversation's hard to get going, and I'm scratching my head. But after a while, then it just kind of takes off and doesn't, and I got to stop it, and so I feel guilty, but not really, but kind of, but a little bit.
I
Not really.
noticed Ben took off. I thought he was going to do a little thing.
Well, he doesn't like me sometimes, I guess. I'm kidding. I don't know if he does or doesn't. So, real quick on housekeeping. Next week, we're going to do our Bazzite distribution exploration. So we chose it last week on a poll. I think I'm going to do that again in the future. Probably put a few of them in a straw poll and then see which one wins. Kind of accelerate this and give us 2 weeks to try it out instead of the 1 week that we've been doing it. So I'm working on Bazzite for my Steam Deck, installed on an SD card instead. So we'll see how that goes. It might be a total failure. Anyway, so next week, Bazzite. We can come back with our notes and whatnot. If you have any suggestions, feel free to send them to suggestions@linuxsaloon.com. Any ideas that are burning a hole in your digital pocket, please do share. And that could be anything from distributions to applications or poll ideas. Anything you got, send them away. Although I don't care about SEO, so don't send me anything about that. It is time for last call. So, did anybody have anything they wanted to particularly share? I know sometimes, Eric, you've got something really exciting going on. Sometimes
Nah, not really.
you don't.
Thank you though.
Well, I just want to make sure you had an opportunity. Also, Dale, I know that you are a content creator and you've been doing some things on YouTube. I don't know if you wanted to share any of that since you actually stuck around.
Yeah, I might have to do Firefox. I might have to do something on Firefox pretty
All right.
soon.
But normally I see you do you were doing some videos on it's one of the some Star Wars game. Weren't you doing some Star Wars games recently?
No, I do mostly ARPG, Path of Exile, Last Epoch. That's my primary gaming love interest. I
Okay.
also do some Linux content and InkStitch, which is digitizing for embroidery machines with Inkscape and the plugin called InkStitch, which is all free.
That's really cool. Is there anything
And I have
like
tutorials.
Go ahead. I'm sorry, say again. You have tutorials on
I
that?
have tutorials for InkStitch on my YouTube.
And what do you use? What kind of hardware do you use to stitch that out?
We have commercial embroidery machines, but anything the single needle flatbed machines that you can buy from Walmart, most of those can use the codec that InkStitch is allowed to create. There's about 8 or 10 of them that InkStitch can create that are open source enough to be on a free platform.
So, Fratum in the chat, maybe I'm saying that wrong. Fratum wants a link to your channel. So if you could share that, I will make sure I put it in the out there.
Okay, I'm just going to put it in the Zoom chat.
Okay, yeah, because that would actually be pretty great to know about. I didn't know that there was an open source initiative for that. I'd wondered if there was, but that's as far as I got was wondering, and that's really cool.
Yeah, I've been trying to think of some way to integrate it into Linux Saloon at some point. Just do a little.
Oh no,
5-minute.
that would be great. Like I'd love to have you do a community free pour on that. You can do like a whole, share your screen, show some cool things. If you want to do that, yeah, let me know. I would absolutely love to talk about that. That would be the cat's pajamas right there, and maybe you can embroidery on those cat's pajamas too.
Yes, we could.
Cool. So Well, you know, maybe FR ATM, automatic teller machine. I don't know. Free automatic teller machine. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, so got to be careful. Prophetic. Got anything exciting going on that you're doing lately?
Exciting for me is playing around with like these command line tools and then turning them into like a wizard for onboarding for like a new user. And I've just been playing around with like AI, like ChatGPT's model for coding and seeing how far I can test assumptions about how far I can take it. So I created a RDP me wizard or TUI, a terminal-based app, and it helped essentially configure a RDP client on the spot to spawn up, and it helps you like mitigate like how many monitors do you want to bring up, and does it through dialogue. So it's fairly simple to do. So I'm having fun with like how far I can push these things to make cool terminal-based apps, and then empower mere mortals and noobs to, see how far they could take it with onboarding and launching them.
You should write your own version of Zork, but, call it prophetic. I don't know. You muted.
Prophetic Zork or Zorfetic? I don't know. We'll butcher the name on purpose.
Yeah, Zork. Pros. I don't know. But
Pork.
Pork.
We call it a protein something in there.
I like it. So, Colin, have you?
Zork.
Yeah, it was. I was trying to play Zork on my MSI 8080, but I was having a little bit difficulty getting it going. But that's another story for another time. Colin, have you been gearing up to do any videos?
No,
lately?
well, I left my job yesterday. Friday.
Oh.
So I'm starting a new job. So I'll be away for 3 weeks. So I won't be able to do anything, but I do have a week off. So I might be able to start getting into things on my week off every month. So see how that goes.
So
I probably won't be here for the next 3 weeks.
Oh, man.
Congratulations.
You should have stayed with your job so you didn't have to shortchange us some Colin. I'm kidding. Your life is far more important than Linux Saloon. I don't.
Yeah, just making a late change, but we'll see how it all goes. Should be good, hopefully.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, that's actually exciting.
It's good to no matter your age. I think a little bit of a career shift and some new excitement.
Yep.
I think that's a wonderful thing. At least that's my opinion. But
absolutely, yeah.
Who am I?
Got to try something. Got to do something new.
Yeah.
Life just gets a bit boring after a while. 18 plus years in the one place. So that's a long time.
It is a long time.
Yep.
We're not get offers to join like a multi-marketing team, right? In the chat, running crypto stuff, Colin, with your new job.
What was that? Sorry?
I said we're not gonna get weird offers in Telegram from you.
Oh, no,
helping you join
no.
a crypto coin or multi-marketing things now. Okay.
Definitely not. I'm doing a fly-in, fly-out situation, and I'm just going to be a trade assistant. Just, get told what to do and do it.
That's cool.
Not looking after people for a change. Yeah.
Cool. Congrats.
Well, I know, Jason, are you going to be doing your like magic tomorrow, or are you going to stay at home? What's the?
I'm considering that still more likely at this rate. I'm thinking about staying home because tomorrow's supposed to be a bunch of thunderstorms and stuff. So I may stay inside and join the Dave's Vintage Apple Tech, and hang out kind of like this type of setting, but for Macs.
And sometimes I join when I have time. But tomorrow my daughter's got to play, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it.
Yeah,
So.
he dropped his time from 6 hours, doing 6 hours stream, to he used to do 8 hours. He's dropped it down to 6 hours lately. So.
Frame relay over asynchronous transfer mode is something I'm now going to have to look at because I don't know anything about it. Just commenting on Fratum's comment to me in chat. So anyway, for what it's worth. Anybody else have anything you want to bring up? I know Vince or Jinda, Adam.
Just happy International Women's Day, everyone. I know it's a bit of a male fest in here, but I have many important women in my life, so happy International Women's Day.
Yeah, me too. My girls went and protested today.
Oh.
What did you do, Eric?
Yeah,
What did you do
I
to
was
them?
wondering what you
Weren't
did.
I
protesting me.
protested Derek.
That's
No, it
what
was
they're doing.
just one of those sort of general. They used International Women's Day not as an excuse, but as like the basis. But then they also had different little groups of people opposed to different things. But yeah, the center of it was International Women's Day, and I was proud that my kid went and did that.
Well, good. Hopefully, they didn't get into any fights.
No.
They came back with no bruises.
They got
or
honked
busted out
at.
teeth.
They got honked at a lot, apparently.
Well, was it more of a beep beep or like a hold the horn down kind of a honk?
She said it was 30% people honking and with their thumbs up, 30% honking with their middle fingers up,
Oh.
and 30% people honking because they were in the way.
Oh.
Or something.
Oh, so was
I don't know.
none of them like a Jim Carrey and the mask going Aruga.
No, actually, they apparently booed at a Cybertruck, and the guy said, "I'm sorry, it's not my fault," which I think is
Yeah, I
funny.
boo Cybertrucks too, and those are ugly things.
I love the Cybertruck. I think they're awesome. If I had the money,
As
but I don't.
an '80s kid, if you would have shown that to me when I was 9, I would have thought it was the coolest thing ever.
It
Yeah,
does
'cause
have
you
like a
probably grew
retro, yeah, a retro feel.
It looks
Yep.
like a
Now you look at the thing and you go like, why?
Yeah,
It
in
looks like a-
1988, if you would have shown that to me.
to me it looks like a low poly video game truck, and I
Yeah.
think I like it. But anyway, it's fine.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's not-
even big rigs had more polys than that.
I think like
No
a
one here knows big rigs.
like a
I'm out. Take it easy, guys.
Like on that note, I'm out.
yeah.
Same.
Get you.
All right. Well, I guess with that said, Steve's very own. He was in the chat for a little bit.
boy.
Check out his live streams he does throughout the week, and he's retired now, so he has all his time to live stream. But he does a Sunday morning stream, so check that out. 8:30 a.m. Central. I'm on a podcast called Linux Out Loud. I missed the last time we recorded, but we have Bill, Matt, and Wendy will be there for that one. I had work things that kept me from it. I have a website called cubicalnate.com. Sometimes I do things. So Linux Saloon is part of the Tux Digital Network, so check out more great shows at tuxdigital.com. I want to thank you all for your support, however you do it, being a part of the conversation in both the Zoom meeting and YouTube stream, as well as everyone for watching the show after the fact. I want to thank you, everyone involved in making the Linux and open source tools possible for us to not only have this conversation, but also to have fun and enjoy our technology. Linux truly puts personal back in a personal computer. Thank you for stopping by. Be sure to tip your developers, and please remember to Linux responsibly. Until next time.